Hey, everybody, and we are live with episode 217 of Hot Jobs. And by we, I mean me. Tara is on leave, and the rest of the team is pretty much on leave, except for the ones that are out working elsewhere. So you just get me for Hot Jobs today, and just me for my office hours on Thursday, immediately following our Mastering LinkedIn session from 11 to 1. And I'll get to that a little bit later. So before I start, I'd like to thank our partners at CNC Boiler. CNC Boiler is a family-owned business running out of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. They do a lot of work servicing and selling and maintaining commercial boilers. I will tell you, I did not realize how important they were to companies until I learned how much they're used for and how much companies could lose when they go out of service or if they're down for any period of time. I think some of the numbers were like companies could lose 100,000 plus, a day easily if their commercial boiler goes down. So CNC Service provides that family feeling while they're providing service to all of those customers in that tri-state region. And if you are interested in a career as a service technician, we have SkillBridge internships with CNC run out of South Carolina that will provide you the training and an immediate job following. So you'll be able to go into training, start off once you graduate about $65K, and there is a quick shuttle up to six figures in this industry. So check them out on our page or go look at CNC Boiler themselves and check them out for their commitment to our community. Now, if you are joining us today, please know this is called Hot Jobs, but it could also be Hot Candidates. So we've got a lot of people that dial in. So if you are looking for a job, if you're in a career pivot, if you're getting out soon and you want to find your next career, please comment what you want to do, right? What is the title of the job and where you want to do it? That's number 2. Remote is not a single answer. A job without a location is not a single answer. A location without a job is not an answer. You want to make it easy for us help you. And so you give us the job title and location. And if you are just here to support the community, just drop in the comments and say hi. Let us know what you're doing and how you can help. All right. So let's get into some of the topics for today. The first topic is something that I talked about a little earlier, and it's about resumes, right? This is a hot topic for our community. So, I retired about 7.5, almost 8 years ago. And I remember going through TAP about a year before that. And the first thing that everyone said at TAP was, I've got to work on my resume. Now, granted, you are required to start the transition process 1 year out. How are you going to write a resume at that point? And what are you writing a resume for? Those are the questions I have. Realistically, companies post jobs when they need to hire. Now, there's some kind of spammy ones where we're like, not spammy, but like they're hoping to win something, so they want to get it out there. But we post jobs when we can hire. And so ideally, you want someone that can start, from the day we put it up within 2 months or so. You do your screening, you do your interviews, you place the offer. If someone said I can't start for 4 months, that's not going to cut it, right? So you don't need resumes until you are 2 to 3 months from the day you can start. Anything prior to that, you are wasting your time collecting data on a document. You're better off just creating a master resume and putting all your accomplishments in like an unstructured Word document for when you need to create tailored resumes, right? Now, tailored resumes, whenever someone says to me, I want you to look at my resume, the first thing I say is resume for what job? Resume for what job? Your resume that only looks backwards at the last 10 to 20 years of military service and talks about all the tens of thousands of people and everything else isn't worth anything outside of defense, really the defense market where you're going to go back into a unit you helped run. So you need to write a resume that speaks to your ability to do this job, right? So let's say let's say we're looking for a paramedic, right? Well, if you write a resume that says you led the operations for 17,000 people in 45 countries, and it doesn't say you're a certified paramedic, it doesn't say anything about your medical experience, you're not qualified. The same thing for just about every job out there. And so what I'm going to tell you is that the way to do this correctly is you tailor every resume to each job. Now, you can't just have yet AI look at the job and then tailor a resume for you automatically. You're going to miss some of the things that we should know. And so what I'm going to tell you that is something I repeat often is you need to do informational interviews with people in industry. And what I mean by that, phone calls with people in industry where you ask them not for a job, you ask them more about what they do, right? The idea is you want to put yourself in their shoes for a day or more to understand if you want to do that job. And if the answer is yes, you want to do that job, then you need to understand how they spend their time, in detail, what their biggest challenges are, why that's a challenge, what their biggest successes have been there, and how did they get to there? What metrics do they track so that you know what to put on your resume? And what are their boss's priorities? If you know that for one same vertical, like a specific job title, and you hear that from 5 or 10 people, it's easy to look in your background and make sure that info gets on the resume, not the Where's Waldo stuff where we're trying to search for stuff that's relevant to what this job is going to be. And so that's what you have to do to get the resume together. All right, we got some people. Let's see how good people are at following directions, which is a critical part of the transition. So we've got Ebony saying HR in Columbia, South Carolina. Thanks for joining us. We've got Kyle saying supply chain in Raleigh or Southeast hybrid. Okay, I'll be interested to see how you do supply chain hybrid like that, but it's good. We got Mo saying thank you. Keep it up for the great work with our vets. We've got Daniel. Okay, in Chile. Well, I don't know if I can help you, Daniel, but I'll keep my fingers crossed. And then we've got Charles saying he's salty and probably doesn't know how to be professional. But, that's just me. And then there you go. I'm hopefully Charles tuned out because his experience doesn't matter, right? So, ultimately, you have to reflect. You have to tell the employer how your experience, your relevant experience to that job will make a difference for them. And I will tell, I teach all the generals and admirals. I teach a lot of the E9s. I teach a lot of bases. I've got my USO Mastering LinkedIn webinar Thursday at 11 a.m. All you have to do is Google the words USO MVP, like Saquon Barkley should have been last year, the most valuable player for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. If you Google USO MVP, you can register to attend my Mastering LinkedIn webinar, and I'll give you all the tools you need to figure out what parts of your experience are going to be relevant, except for you, Charles. Don't come. And then we've got Anthony saying hotel industry through operations or compliance. So what I'll say is that, Anthony, you should talk to a bunch of people that work in the hotels, and you should attend the webinar on Thursday. So I give you the tools that you can do that. And you may want to expand that to the hospitality industry based on what you find out. It's up to you. You have all the ability to do the research with the tools that we give you. All right. Couple other things I want to talk about before we keep going. Interviews, right? For the transitioning military that get to the interviews, right? What I need you all to understand is that there are multiple levels of interviews with multiple reasons. The first interview is a phone screen, right? Or a recruiter screen, or a recruiter call, or recruiter Zoom, whatever. But that is basically with a recruiter that posted the job for them to set aside 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever they set aside. It's usually a quick call to just make sure, one, that the person matches the resume, right? I've had people where I sat down and I said, what does this mean? And they couldn't explain it. That's not a good thing when it comes to your resume. They also, too, will talk to you to make sure you have specific relevant experience. And the idea of that is that recruiter that reaches out to set up that initial call is trying to determine if you are going to be one of the typically 3 to 5 best candidates that move forward to the hiring manager for interviews, where the hiring manager or the hiring panels or the next round of interviews will choose the person they select. Now, what's important for this is I want people to understand the different rules, unspoken rules when it comes to this, and it's ask the right questions to the right people. If you have questions on salary, if you have questions on work arrangements, if you have questions on telework, if you have questions on, upcoming vacation you have scheduled, any of those things, right? You ask that on the recruiter on the front end. That first call, if the recruiter doesn't bring it up, and a good recruiter will bring up salary, total comp, benefits, all that stuff, because they need to make sure that you, if they move you along, that they can close you, that you're going to sign a contract for the range that they have available. But if they don't make that clear, then you ask them or be prepared to provide. But that discussion needs to be had on the first interview for 2 reasons. One, for the recruiter to determine whether you're going to fit. I mean, if they do a screen and they send you forward and the salary is 40 grand less than you're expecting, you just wasted everybody's time, or they wasted everybody's time. And for you, if you are going forward, you need to make sure the salary meets your expectations. I subscribe to the leverage theory when it comes to this conversation, which means if the recruiter reached out to you first, ask them what the salary range is, right? They need candidates. That's why they reached out to you first. If you applied online and they responded, be prepared to either on the online application or to tell the recruiter on the phone what you want or what you need for the job. What are your salary requirements? Because you applied to them first. That's my leverage theory. So for the recruiter, you get the basic background stuff to decide whether you want to go forward. Remember, it's a two-way conversation. And then for the hiring manager, the panels, whatever the next interviews go, that is you come prepared to discuss the job, right? And so for me, the best way that people do this is they put themselves in the day at work for the job and they ask the normal questions that show that they are paying attention, they're imagining their success, they want to be a great fit. And they are not questions you necessarily wrote down in advance. They are questions about the role, how you're going to engage the leadership, what the team looks like, metrics for success, 180, 90, 180, 365, expectations, those types of things. That's how you knock that out of the park. A lot of that could come up in the conversation, but if it doesn't, be prepared to ask follow-ons. So we've got some other advice. We got Bobby saying great advice. And we've got Ryan saying, what is the right response to a recruiter asking your salary range? So again, Ryan, I do not believe in the whoever gives a number first conversation, right? I believe in the leverage, like I said. So if you applied online, then the recruiter, sorry, I'm getting killed here on my phone. If you applied online, then the recruiter asks you, be prepared to give the answer. If you applied and you need the job, if they're like, well, what are your salary requirements? And you say, well, what are you offering? And they're like, I just asked you what your salary requirements are. And if you're like, I don't know, what are you offering? Like, to me, you're not a best candidate. Get out of here. They'll move on to someone else because you applied first. They have other candidates, right? They'll only come back to you if you're the only one that's qualified. It's not a great way. Don't play these games. Like, you can ask, and if they say, well, we really want to know what your requirements are, just give them the number. Be prepared. If a recruiter reaches out to you out of the blue about a job, ask them and don't do anything else until they tell you, right? Hey, you called me, right? You need candidates. What are your salary? What's the salary range you're offering? right? That's the way I talk about it. And then we've got, let's see, Wake Forest. I don't know. So he wasn't talking to me, I guess. And yep. And Sam said, don't, she was worried about the behavior, but that's normal. Tell me about a time. All right. So let's go into a couple things. This is called Hot Jobs for a reason. Tara is the one that normally goes through this, but I will jump in and see if I can do my best. So the first thing I want to bring up is that our partners at Veteran Service Brands, you may have seen our interview last week or a few months ago with Joe Prue. They are Veteran Service Brands is a franchise company that has different models that only go to veterans, right? So you have to be a veteran to be a franchise partner. And so they offer parking lot striping, which is sounded kind of crazy until I realized they have to be redone every like 2 to 3 years. So you always have business. Our team up in Seattle, they joined up. They did the first few, and they've had all of it coming in through, the Google Sites listing and everything else. So they have the work just coming in to knock it out of the park. So parking lot striping, that's G-Force. They've got Mach 1 epoxy floors, right? They did it for our CEO, Nick Gismondi, and they just knocked it out of the park. Like that floor still looks amazing to this day, and they did it about a year ago. You've got Field Ops athletic striping, which includes all these new pickleball courts. And then you've got paint core, commercial and residential painting. I don't know about you, but if I'm hiring someone to do this kind of work, I would always hire a veteran over the competition. And that the way they wrap those vehicles in Veteran Service Brands, that is another thing that I've been always stunned by how great their vehicle and marketing looks. So if you're interested in a franchise, either for you to have a franchise or to do a skill bridge related to it, we've got them listed right up here at HireMilitary.us. Check them out, or you can always go directly to our former member of our team, Lucy Robinson. That's how close we are with Veteran Service Brand. She's over there helping them bring more veterans into these franchises. So that is Veteran Service Brands. We've got jobs at Ascension Island. Most people don't know where Ascension Island. I'd never heard of it, but it is midway between Brazil and Africa, like in the middle of Atlantic. Amazing fishing, island in the middle of nowhere. I think it does a lot of space operations type stuff. But our partners at Acuity International have roles as a paramedic, a nurse practitioner, and a lab tech at Ascension Island. So these are great opportunities to have that island lifestyle, get some fishing and sun. Not going to work out for me too well. I get burned to a crisp. But if you're interested, you can go to them on Acuity International, or you can check them out on HireMilitary.us. We've got these jobs listed, and we'll get the resumes right over to them. And then Acuity is also hiring radiology technicians and biomedical equipment personnel at the Marshall Islands, which is an island dot in the middle of the Pacific in Kwajalein Atoll. So that is resort-style living in the middle of the Pacific. Beautiful beaches, fishing, sunsets. I mean, it's amazing. So that's radiology techs and biomedical equipment personnel in the Marshall Islands. And you can check them all out on HireMilitary.us. Our partners at Skillstorm. Skillstorm, you haven't heard about them for a while. We've got a conversation with Alan Kohili coming up in the next week or two. But Alan and the Skillstorm team have created a new skill bridge. And their new skill bridge is a training skill bridge that you can do. It's fully remote, but because it's got instructor-led programs, then you can get a program in cloud, cyber, or solution engineering for Skillstorm, fully remote, skill bridge internship, and graduate with the training, ready to go ahead and launch your career into cloud, cyber, or solution engineering. Right. So they have multiple different programs. These do use the GI Bill, which shouldn't be an issue for a lot of people because like only 30% of people ever use it. But you can do the full-time immersive program, which is I think about 3 to 4 months. Full-time, that's your skill bridge. You do it, you graduate, they pay for the certs and everything else like that. Or you can do a part-time one, maybe start it about a year out and be ready to roll into a skill bridge using those things, right? That would be my ideal. Take the part-time one, start it early, graduate that, and then look to find a skill bridge internship. It's easier to market yourself when you have the certs for free. So if you have questions on that, you can check them out on HireMilitary.us, or you can go direct to Skillstorm. And then the last couple that I have, and then I'll get into these last questions, is we've got some remote skill bridge opportunities. And I saw that Rosie saying, do we have skill bridge opportunities? I just mentioned two of them. The remote ones we have are with our partners at customer.io. It is a revenue operations, legal, demand generation, or business development. These are sales types roles, the last two. But I will tell you, they're fully remote. They provide training. It's an amazing company. And there is a full-time, well-paying job that is also remote. The company's 100% remote. And they're good for anyone across the U.S. And they want to hire more service members, more veterans. And so if you're interested in a remote SkillBridge internship, I will tell you that you could not do much better than one of the jobs we have at customer.io. They are remote jobs followed by remote internships that have high potential for remote jobs. Headcounts already assigned there. They'll teach you, train you, and you have a chance to really just zoom to the top with a company that's really passionate about ourselves, about our community. So last question we have right here. Ryan says, how long is the normal wait time for a company to reach out after an application is submitted? Ryan, there's not really a normal wait time, is what I'll say. It all depends on the number of candidates, where the opportunity is, and how the recruiter manages their workflow, and when the job starts, right? If it's a contingent offer for something that might not be out for a couple months, it might take them a little while. Some recruiters will go through their ATS and reject the ones that aren't qualified off the beginning. Others will work through and sort everybody, but won't send the rejection email till the end. So there really isn't a standard number. It all depends on the situation, in my experience. What I would say is that if it's been a week or two, you can always just reach out to the recruiter on LinkedIn or send them a quick note just to follow up and let them know you're interested and see if they'll share any information. And then, okay, so I will say, Rosie, we do have some DLA finance SkillBridge opportunities that are listed on HireMilitary.us. You're going to have to jump on those soon, but those are full-time SkillBridge. They have a financial analyst, financial liaison, business analyst, and then they have accountant and accountant systems. The accounting ones require a bachelor's degree and at least 18 hours of 24 hours total, 18 of which have to be accounting, and the other 6 could be business law or accounting, so 24 total. The roles are all typically they are in Battle Creek, Michigan. They're in Columbus, Ohio, Whitehall. They are in New Cumberland, PA, Philadelphia, PA, where you can be close to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Richmond, Virginia, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. And if you have accounts receivable experience, there could be something out in San Antonio, but only that. So I would encourage you to check out our DLA finance team. And then we've got another one. LinkedIn is rookie question. LinkedIn is full of recruiters. How do you get a recruiter? Or do you use recruiters directly tied to the company you're talking to? Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to the recruiter about a specific role that they posted and say, hey, I'm interested. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is good to go and see what their thoughts are if it's still open, and see if they respond. If you're a good candidate, they will. If you're not a great candidate, they might not. But I would say one of the biggest mistakes I see of people in the transition is they focus on trying to connect with recruiters. And that's a small portion of where you should be growing your network. What I will tell people is that recruiters are typically managing 20 to 25 requisitions at a time. Each one could have dozens or hundreds of candidates. They can't afford to be taken, and they got to schedule all these phone screens for the jobs they have. they can't just take these mentorship calls that often. And so what I'll tell you is that I recommend you reach out to veterans in the career that interests you and talk to them. The bonus is if you build relationships with the veterans in industry, they could potentially put you in for a referral, and that'll 11 times your chances of getting a job. All right. So with that, I got through everything today, all the jobs, all the information I want to share. I want to remind you all about the USO transitions. My Mastering LinkedIn webinar is on Thursday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join. And I see Rosie. I don't know where the Giants are going this year. They're going after Saquon again, I guess. But if you're by Belvoir, Rosie, I'll tell you what, apply for the SkillBridge internship and send me a follow-on note saying you saw it here and you want to be connected to the team, and I'll see what I can do. All right. But we got to move quickly on this to get it scheduled. All right. With that, hey, everybody, Google USO MVP for the list of the events. My webinars on the USO are always free, always free. You can attend as much as you want. They are for service members, veterans, military spouses, and members of our community, supporters. Check them out. Hopefully I see you all on Thursday, and have a great day.